The right way forward on coronavirus.
冠状病毒研究的正确方向。
Somehow, the idea has taken root that there is a trade-off between dealing with the coronavirus and keeping the economy afloat.
不知何故，这个想法已经扎下了根，即在应对冠状病毒和保持经济正常运转之间存在一种权衡。
As governors have implemented social distancing and business closure orders, some critics have said that these measures go too far. And as the White House's initial 15-day guidelines were set to expire Tuesday, President Donald Trump expressed a desire to ease up on the restrictions and even spoke of packed churches on Easter.
随着各州州长实施了社会疏远和企业关闭令，一些批评人士表示，这些措施走得太远了。随着白宫最初为期15天的指导方针将于周二到期，唐纳德·特朗普总统表达了放宽限制的愿望，甚至还提到了复活节期间挤满了教堂。
That won't be happening. On Sunday evening, Trump acknowledged the reality that the way forward requires patience and more pain, announcing that the White House would be extending its social distancing guidelines through April 30th.
那是不可能的。周日晚间，特朗普承认，前进的道路需要耐心和更多痛苦。他宣布，白宫将把疏远社会关系的指导方针延长到4月30日。
Relaxing too soon would let the virus course its way through the system, producing enormous economic, as well as human, costs. Until the spread is brought under control, frightened people would stay home anyway. Supply chains would be interrupted. Governors who resisted social distancing edicts initially would be forced to relent.
如果过早放松，病毒就会侵入整个系统，造成巨大的经济和人类代价。在疫情得到控制之前，害怕的人们还是会待在家里，供应链将被中断。最初抵制社会疏远法令的州长们将被迫做出让步。
Meld economy and public health.
经济与公共卫生。
For this reason, it would be better for America to see the economy and coronavirus mitigation as one and the same thing, not an either-or proposition. And for this reason, Trump should focus on a national action plan, guided by science, that melds economic and public health interests in a way that instills public confidence.
出于这个原因，美国最好把经济和冠状病毒缓解看作是一回事，而不是一个非此即彼的命题。出于这个原因，特朗普应该把重点放在一个以科学为指导的国家行动计划上。该计划将经济利益和公共卫生利益结合在一起，从而增强公众的信心。
Senator Johnson tried to put things into perspective.
约翰逊参议员试着正确看待问题。
Emergency medical workers deliver a patient to an emergency room on March 29th.
2020
In New York, such a plan would look much like the roadmap that Dr. Scott Gottlieb, a former Food and Drug Administration commissioner, and other leading public health experts released on Sunday.
这样一个计划看起来很像美国食品和药物管理局前委员斯科特·戈特利布博士和其他主要公共卫生专家周日公布的路线图。
First, flatten the curve. At least for the next several weeks, social distancing should be the norm, to slow the spread of the virus and prevent the healthcare system from being overwhelmed. During this period, the federal government should use all powers in its disposal, including the Defense Production Act, to secure, produce and distribute much-needed equipment for hospitals, clinics and emergency medical services.
首先，压平曲线，至少在接下来的几周里，社会距离应该成为常态，以减缓病毒的传播，防止医疗保健系统不堪重负。在此期间，联邦政府应动用一切权力，包括国防生产法、
Defense Production Act,
为医院、诊所和紧急医疗服务保障、生产和分发急需的设备。
Will this have severe and disruptive economic consequences? Of course. That's why Congress just approved a $2 trillion relief measure,
2又1/2
times the size of the stimulus passed during the 2008 financial crisis. The Federal Reserve is also taking extraordinary steps to keep credit flowing.
这会带来严重的破坏性经济后果吗？当然，这就是为什么国会刚刚批准了一项2万亿美元的救助措施，是2008年金融危机期间通过的刺激规模的 2.5 倍。美联储
Fed
也在采取非同寻常的措施，以保持信贷流动。
Implement widespread real-time testing. Delays in developing and distributing test kits left the nation largely flying blind as the disease spread. Widespread quick result testing is a key to a more robust economy. Once the number of cases declines, and infected people can be quickly identified and isolated, governors will have more latitude to loosen restrictions on dining out, going to stores and other normal activities. During this period, people would still have to practice self-distancing and avoid mass gatherings.
实现广泛的实时测试。随着疾病的蔓延，开发和分发检测包的延误使得这个国家在很大程度上处于盲目状态。广泛的快速结果测试是经济更加强劲的关键。一旦病例数量下降，感染者可以被迅速识别和隔离。州长将有更多的自由放松对外出就餐、去商店和其他正常活动的限制。在这段时间里，人们仍然需要练习自我疏远，避免大规模集会。
Push ahead on therapies and a vaccine. The final element of an action plan is the only part that seems to be on track, an all-out push to develop treatments and a vaccine. Some therapies have promise but need to be tested in clinical trials. Given how far the coronavirus has spread, most experts don't expect it to go away without a vaccine. Widespread administration of such a vaccine is, unfortunately, not likely until sometime next year at best.
推进疗法和疫苗。行动计划的最后一个要素似乎是唯一走上正轨的部分，全力推动开发治疗方法和疫苗。一些疗法有希望，但需要在临床试验中进行测试。鉴于这种冠状病毒的传播程度，大多数专家并不认为没有疫苗它就会消失。不幸的是，这种疫苗的广泛应用至少要到明年的某个时候。
April will be a hard month.
4月将是艰难的一个月。
No one knows precisely how long it will take before the number of U.S. cases peaks. Gottlieb said Sunday that he thinks April will be a hard month, but that we'll be coming out of this in May. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's leading infectious disease expert, said, the virus itself determines that timetable for easing up.
没有人确切地知道多长时间美国病例数量会达到高峰。哥特利布周日表示，他认为月将是一个艰难的月份，但我们将在5月走出困境。美国首席传染病专家
Anthony Fauci
博士说，病毒本身决定了缓解的时间表。
The coronavirus might show some seasonality, like colds and the flu. If this is the case, the combination of social distancing and hotter, more humid weather could drive the numbers of infected people way down this summer. This shouldn't be seen as cause for declaring victory, but as a chance to prepare for a possible second wave in the fall.
冠状病毒可能表现出一些季节性，比如感冒和流感。如果是这样的话，社会距离加上更热、更潮湿的天气可能会使今年夏天感染人数大幅下降。这不应被视为宣告胜利的理由，而是为秋季可能出现的第二波做准备的机会。
By pushing on these three fronts, an immediate focus on keeping hospitals from being overwhelmed, an intermediate push for widespread testing, and a longer-term campaign to medically defeat this pathogen, Americans will not only be healthier, they will also sense that things are heading in the right direction, which would be the most potent economic stimulus of all.
通过推动这3个方面的工作，即立即关注防止医院不堪重负，推动广泛检测的中间工作，以及从医学上战胜这种病原体的长期运动，美国人不仅会更健康，他们还会感觉到事情正朝着正确的方向发展，这将是最有力的经济刺激。